Okay, so if you notice here, I've got a couple of things going on here. Those of you who are still writing, feel free to write. I've got some of the need to knows here, and then I've got also some of the no. All right. Now, there may or may not have been a complete list of need to knows yesterday, and all of the things that you learned yesterday might not have been on the need to know list initially. So I'd like you to take a quick extension right now and think to yourself, did you learn something or do you know something about PBL now that you didn't know yesterday? Not necessarily from the need to know list. So any thoughts about that right now? Anyone can throw something out there?
Whether you need an entry document.
Need an entry document. So you know that right now. Okay, what else? You must develop a problem statement. Any learning that went on as a need to knows. Just had a conversation with a teacher here at Bacon's. He's the media arts teacher, and we spent some time looking at a document that you guys are going to take a look at today called the Spectrum of Scaffolding. And as a result of looking at that, he said, I need to be revisiting the need to knows way more than I am. So I would agree with you. And in fact, what you identify is something that a lot of teachers either forget to do or feel as though they don't have very much time. But as we move towards this idea of really inculcating ownership of learning on our students' part, this is crucial. Because what this is it's modeling, effectively, reflection upon what you've been learning. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's take a look at the need to knows. Are there any need to knows that we identified yesterday that we can move over to the know list?
How do you create a problem statement?
How do we feel about that? Do we feel like we have a reasonable handle on creating problem statements? I'm getting a sense from this side. How about over here? Medium? Medium. Okay, so let's do this.
Once again, Eagles, come on in. Doors are open. Today's a B-Day. Report to fifth period. Let's not have anybody tardy this morning. Let's everybody hustle it up, make it for fifth period on time. Thank you so much.
So we got some that are feeling pretty good about this. We can stick this into the no side, but some who are still not quite okay here. So not quite ready to move it entirely over to the no section. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah? All right, so maybe a little more practice. Any others? Okay, oh, please.
How to judge how much time to spend on a project?
You're feeling better about that?
Well, I guess that would depend on the project that you get.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there a standard amount of time?
Is there a standard amount of time?
No.
What's it depend upon?
The complexity.
Complexity? And typically, what determines complexity of a project?
How many standards, how many goals?
How many standards, but not just the number of standards. Kind of the nature of the standards too, right? Let me give you a specific example. If I'm doing a unit on 3 standards, and maybe those 3 standards are identify the slope in y equals mx plus b, identify the y-intercept in y equals mx plus b, and plot an equation of a line. Those are fairly simple, not very hard. But I could have one standard show proficiency in completing the square. If you've ever taught math and tried to teach completing the square, you might as well just stick a hot needle in your eye for about 3 days. So that's a complex standard that requires some amount of practice and teaching and work. So what I'd like to do is, at this point, I've got some sheets up here, and I'm gonna got sheet over here. From your list of need-to-knows that you identified in the journal entry, I would like you to identify the big, glaring need-to-know right now, the one that you consider to be most important. And when you identify that, I'd like you to come up and write across this sheet so that you have that. And if you are feeling, brave, then cut it out and stick it up on the need-to-know wall. All right. So please identify your most pressing need-to-know. Write it up there, and let's get that on the wall. So let's take a look at some of the new need-to-knows here. Regarding 21st century skills, tech lit with content, should mastery of skill be obtained individually in scaffolding activities, and project take those to higher level based on student interest? Can someone tell me a little bit about this need-to-know?
Okay, that
Yes.
was me.
Okay.
I get caught up in, say for instance, learning Excel software in mathematics.
Sure.
21st century skill, tech lit, but
Absolutely.
But how much time, how much, I thought about it with your project yesterday where the 3 students in the group had an individual task.
Sure.
And the one mathematician maybe was the one in charge. Do I take a lot of class time, make everybody learn Excel?
Uh-huh.
How much time? Do scaffolding individual?
Right.
Or just let that one kid that is that interested take it to that?
So I think a lot of this has to do with asking the question is, what are the standards in my class and what do I need every kid to know? And does every kid need to know an advanced knowledge and deep knowledge of Excel, or do they really need to know the midpoint formula? So what you saw there in that project, that role, was actually a beautiful way that teacher was differentiating, because she knows that there are going to be kids in each group that have the wherewithal and the desire to take a midpoint formula to the next level and insert it into Excel, which has, in a math class, was one of our best strategies. Was like, okay, now you know how to do this, program Excel. And a lot of the kids who, again, had the wherewithal were on that like white on rice. So do you want all your kids to have some Excel practice? Yes, probably. So I think some of what I'm reading into this is, should mastery of the skills be obtained individually in scaffolding activities? Yeah, definitely. But you can have like a basic level and then kind of an advanced level, and you can probably put that on the rubric. Yeah.
One of the things that I can think of also, if I have a workshop with the mathematicians, I can tell the class everybody needs to, because we all done like presentations and there's one kid that is sick. Just make sure that everybody in your group, they don't need to understand everything, but if for any reason you're not there, that they know how to explain to the class what happened here. And just something basic. They know basically to explain what happened there.
Hugely.
And that way, they will be teaching the other two. Yeah, that's just.
I want to. How much of the entry document do you use to set the stage so you don't overshadow the real task at hand? Who asked this question? So tell us a little bit about that.
I think on some entry docs that I've written or that we wrote, to find that balance of how much background information do you give compared to the actual task at hand that the project's focusing on? Because I think I've seen both where we spent too much time on setting that stage, where the actual task at hand was like, a small little blurb at the bottom of the entry doc. And so to be able to find a balance so they're not focusing on what is setting that stage, they're focusing on, okay, what do we have to accomplish in this project? What are our goals?
So let's go ahead and keep this is a wonderful question, because sometimes this gets to the heart of really writing an effective entry document. So let's kind of keep that question in the forefront of our mind as we move forward in the entry document. When you start to see some examples and see some items about that, then we can maybe revisit this, if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay.